In this video, I'm going to review the Saucony Peregrine 10 for hikers and backpackers. Let's go! If you're watching this video, you're a backpacker or a hiker who's looking for a trail runner that's going to keep your feet safe and comfortable while you're out on the trail. I'm on my third pair of Saucony Peregrines, so I figured I'd share everything I know about the shoe with the backpacking community. Before we get started, I want to just take 1 second and just let everybody know that I have no relationship with Saucony whatsoever, other than that I buy their shoes. My channel is so small, there's no way they even know I exist. So I just want to make that clear to everybody. Let's start with the specs of the shoe. I wear a size 11 and I weighed one of the shoes on 2 different scales and I'm coming in at about 11.5 ounces, which is really light in terms of trail runner shoes. It's not a zero drop shoe, meaning the drop between the heel and the toe, but it is only 4 millimeters, which is pretty low of a drop. The shoe has what I consider to be a little bit of a lower profile walk to it. In other words, you can really sense what's going on the ground, and that's what I really like about the shoe. It's not super thick, so I feel that being able to tell the little nuances of the trail help protect my feet and my ankles. There are so many different sticks, roots, rocks, holes, and whatnot that you're gonna slip on, start to twist your ankle on, and the more that you can feel those little nuances of the trail, the better. And that's one of the things I really like about this shoe. I really like the sole of the shoe. It's got a nice tread on it, which is excellent for gripping onto smooth surfaces. I've walked through all kinds of conditions with these shoes and never had any problems with my feet slipping. So I really like the grip that you get from the Peregrine 10. One of the things I like about the shoe is how quickly it dries. I like to tromp through streams with my shoes and socks on because I don't like to take them off, and I also don't like to risk getting cuts on my feet from sharp rocks. And these things dry out right away. You'll be walking through a stream and within a few hours your feet will be completely dry. I don't know how to really describe this well, but one thing I do like a lot about the shoe also is that it seems to be able to adjust to how my feet change throughout the day. As you hike from morning till evening, especially if you're doing 15, 20 miles plus, your feet do change a little bit throughout the day. They can swell up and you might need to adjust the tightness of the shoe. I've always felt like the Peregrine has allowed me to snug it up or loosen it and get the fit just right for what my feet need for that day. And that is super important to help avoid getting blisters or other chafing problems with your feet. In terms of blisters, I really haven't had any problems at all with blisters with these shoes, and I've walked in all kinds of conditions: wet, dry, hot, cold, low miles, high miles, flat, hilly, uphill, downhill, you name it. I've walked in it with the Peregrine 10 and I've had no issues with blisters at all. They fit my feet really well. I want to talk just for a second about the rock plate on the bottom. I do feel that it's pretty sturdy. I have walked through roots and rocks and feel like my feet have held up really well throughout the day. I feel that the rock plate has done a great job protecting my feet when I'm walking on more difficult surfaces. I've also had the Peregrine 8 and the Peregrine 9, and to be perfectly honest, I would not buy another pair of those shoes. In fact, I was looking at other brands before buying the 10 and couldn't find one that I liked the fit on very well, so I ended up giving the 10 one more chance, and it did not disappoint. But I want to talk about what they've improved. On the 8 and 9, they both had two of the same issue. One is on the front of the shoe, it got holes worn in the fabric more quickly than I would have expected. As you can see on both pairs of shoes, in the front section on the outside of the foot, it wore holes in there, and that's not the worst thing in the world. It's probably more cosmetic than anything, but still, I don't want holes in my shoes. The second more critical factor, and this could actually be dangerous if it happened on the trail, is the sole itself on both my 8s and 9s developed a really big split in the bottom, which made it really impossible to use the shoe any further. I had to immediately get another pair as soon as I got off the trail because I didn't want to walk on these like they were. In my opinion, this just shouldn't happen. But on the 10, I have probably, I would say at least 200 miles on this current pair, and the soles are holding up really well. Also on the current pair that I'm wearing, the 10s, the fabric is changed on the surface. So it's no longer that flimsy looking soft fabric. It seems like it's really a lot more sturdy than the other fabric, and also where the holes are developing, they seem to have put some reinforcement over the top of that. So it doesn't look like that's going to happen anymore. One other thing I didn't like about the Peregrine 9 that they fixed in the Peregrine 10 is where the lip of the sole wraps around the front of the shoe, it peeled off a little bit. And this may seem like a minor thing, but it was constantly getting grass and weeds stuck in there, and it just kind of looked goofy. It seems minor, but it was an annoyance. Also, it seemed easier to trip on things when that lip was hanging out even just a couple of millimeters. If you look at the Peregrine 10, they seem to have totally resolved that problem. The lip itself on the front of the shoe looks completely different, and it's adhered in a much more solid manner than the Peregrine 9. In talking about a shoe like the Peregrine 10 that keeps you closer to the ground and giving you that feedback on what's happening on the surface of the ground, I can contrast that to the complete opposite end of the spectrum, which from what I've tried on my feet is something like the Hoka 11 Speed Goat. I tried that on in the store, and it just really felt like I was walking on stilts. And if you want maximum cushioning, that's probably a better shoe. If you're less concerned about maximum cushioning and you just want that better feedback on the trail, then the Peregrine 10 is probably a route you could consider. So here's a summary of the Saucony Peregrine 10. If you like a super heavily cushioned shoe, this is probably not for you. However, if you're comfortable with a shoe that has a little bit less cushioning but gives you better feedback on the trail, then maybe this is something to consider. It's lightweight, one of the lightest trail runners available on the market today. It has a decent rock plate on the bottom. It dries quickly. I found it to be very comfortable and durable as well. The only downside I've seen of the shoe so far is that over super long mile days, not being as cushioned, your feet can get a little bit tired. However, as you get your trail feet, which is the similar concept to trail legs, it does get better over time. But if you're just going out for a 2 or 3 day hike and you're gonna hike super long miles, maybe your feet might get a little bit tired. But overall, if you like a shoe that's a little bit less cushioned and lighter weight, then this is something that you could consider. Final verdict on the Saucony Peregrine Trail Runner. For models 8 and 9, I ran into some serious durability issues with both of those shoes, so I can't recommend them. However, Saucony appears to have addressed all of the durability issues with Model 10, so I can confidently recommend the Saucony Peregrine 10 as a trail runner for hiking and backpacking. As always, if you found any value in this video, please hit that like button and consider subscribing to my channel. Thanks, and we'll see you out on the trail.